Hey friend, it's Slacker Scott.
Not lazy, not cheap, efficient, and thrifty.
Today I am replying to a comment left on my YouTube channel all about financing and how I got the money together to finance the 3 tiny house builds that I've done. I know this sounds like an internet hook, but you're seriously never going to guess one of the ways that I got the money together for the Slacker 27 special. So stay tuned. The comment is from World Adventure Travel and says, "Hey Scott, could you do a video or series on how you paid for the house and sourced the materials? Like what was free or scavenged? What did you have to buy? What scale and budget did you have for the materials? And did you have 27K saved up all at once? Or did you come up with money bit by bit as you built? Also, what help did you have? Volunteer or paid? I'm planning my future project for when I finish with grad school and I want to get the logistics down. Love the design of your sleeping loft, by the way. Only thing is I need that huge skylight above the bed." In terms of scavenged or free materials, when I was building the Slacker 27 special, I got some scavenged material only for 2 parts of the build. One is the pallet wood ceiling, and the other one is the barn wood that is on the cabinets in the kitchen, the floating shelf, and then the ceiling in the bathroom. Everything else was paid for and bought mostly at Lowe's and a tiny bit Home Depot. The pallet wood was essentially free. However, the ad that I responded to on Craigslist to go get it said, if you come to get some of the pallets, you have to take all of the pallets. So I had to rent a 35-foot U-Haul truck and show up all by myself to pick up about 100 pallets and take those all apart for this. So it was mostly free, maybe $50, and a lot of effort. The barnwood was definitely free and was a little bit borrowed without asking / no one would miss it. There was a barn right next to where I was building and it had some gorgeous pieces of wood that I don't think ever would have gotten touched. So I gave them new life, and that's here in the house. But other than that, there are no other free or scavenged materials in the house. When I was building the tiny house that's built on top of the Harbor Freight trailer, I purposely made sure that I didn't do any free or scavenged materials. Part of the whole idea behind that build was to see what the most affordable, accessible tiny house build I could think of would be for one person. And so I wanted to make sure that I grabbed all of the materials from a store, so that way my reporting on the numbers was not way underinflated or anything. In terms of the Slacker 27 special, I built the entire thing by myself. I framed it all by myself. I dried it in. Everything A to Z I did by myself. So you totally can build a house by yourself. It gets a little tricky with the framing and such, but it's definitely possible. I did the same for the tiny, the one that's on the Harbor Freight trailer. However, for the next tiny house build that we're doing it with a team. And I work a day job that I'll be at, and so the team will be building a lot while I'm at work, and I will try to squeeze in some hours afterwards, but I will have some help there. But if you are trying to do it by yourself, totally possible. With one more friend, even more possible and probably more fun. Even though I built the Slacker 27 special all by myself, I didn't know all the things to do when I got started. I dove right in, and so I definitely had a bit of help from phone calls from my father, and then also the YouTubes, because you can learn anything there. So in terms of financing tiny houses, at this point I have kind of gotten money from everywhere you can think of. Sort of. The Slacker 27 special cost $27,000 to build. The trailer that it is built on, I financed. So that's a $7,000 trailer, and I was able to pay it off over 3 years. It's now officially paid off in mine. I got the title a month ago, but that was how I got paid for that part of it. I had $12,000 in available credit when I started the build, and so I grabbed $12,000 from that and kind of maxed out all of my credit cards. The place you'll never guess where I got money from was my whole life insurance policy. When I was 21, I bought a bowling alley in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, and in order to get the bank to sign off on the loan, I had to get a cosigner. My folks were kind enough to do that, but they said in order for us to co-sign this loan, you need to get a whole life insurance policy, so that way if you die, we don't have to run the bowling alley. So at 21, I got a whole life insurance policy, and I have been paying on it ever since. And turns out you can borrow money against your own self, and you have to pay it back eventually, but you're paying yourself back with interest. And so that's what I did. So with that $4,000, financing $7,000 on the trailer, and then $12,000 in available credit, I was up to $23,000, and the other $4,000 I saved up at my job over the 3 months that I was building it. The tiny costs $8,000 or $9,000. I put it all on my credit card, so I don't exactly remember. I know I've added it up at least once. But I did that build mostly half on credit and then half on money that I was saving at my job over the 3 months that I was doing it, because I was building in 2 hours at a time when I got off work. Tiny house number 3 is on the way, and funnily enough, 2 days ago, the loan came through for that. And what I did for that tiny house was to get a personal loan. This is the second personal loan that I've gotten. The first one was for credit consolidation, and I was surprised that they gave me another one, but I marked down that it was for a major purchase, and I got the loan in my account 2 days ago. So very soon we are going to be starting on another tiny house build. It'll be build number 3. It'll kind of be the mama bear build, because the 27 special is the papa bear, the tinies, the baby bear. We're going to be right in the middle. We're going to be building on a 7x16 trailer, and we're going to get started here in a couple of weeks. And this one is going to be one that's for sale. We've got a crew now. There's 4 of us. We're going to knock this one out. I'll be at work a lot, but we'll build when I get the chance, and my crew's going to help out in the meantime. But it's going to be another Slacker Scott design, and if you want to get emotionally attached to it and watch the entire build process happen, and then get your feelings hurt when someone else buys it, you can do that. And then I'll make you another one later, because I don't want you to feel sad. I wanted to interrupt myself partway through this video to talk about finances in general and some of the embarrassment there and where I've come from with that. So I'm talking a lot about credit cards and all that kind of stuff. And I am a person who has not had a savings account ever. It's there, there's just no money in it. And so I have gotten and picked up random credit cards throughout the time. And sometimes I've tried to pay them down. A lot of times I haven't, and so it's just been kind of picking those up over time. One of the downsides of me putting a lot of my tiny house builds on my credit cards is that my credit has gone down a bit. Before I started my tiny house builds, my credit was up at 740, 750. After having my credit cards maxed out for a while, it was down at 625. And then before I started the tiny, I got a personal loan. I owed the same amount of debt, but yet my credit shot up to 720 in 2 months, which is crazy. Look into how credit scores happen, because that could be helpful for you. And then now that I had a boat crash and it was a very expensive tow, my credit cards are back too high and the credit's going down. But even with a credit score currently of 650, I was still able to get the personal loan for tiny house number 3. As you know, the whole Slacker Scott thing is efficient and thrifty. And for me, the level of thrifty I've had to be is not just about the builds, but about how I got the money for the builds. Your propensity for risk might not be as high as mine is. As a person with bipolar disorder, mine is pretty high. That's why I buy bowling alleys when I'm 21 and build tiny houses on credit. But you can find the level of thrifty that feels really good for you. So I have financed my tiny houses every which way you can think of. Personal loan, very easy to get. Just like I got Credit Karma, and then I put in the stuff, and then they're like, here's the money. Wild. Credit cards, I've heard lately that you can ask for extensions on those to get your limits extended. I don't know how, but that sounds helpful if you're trying to afford a tiny house. Saving up money, and then check into your whole life insurance policy if you have one. 1, you're very responsible. And 2, see if there's any money in that. You can borrow it from yourself and make your dream tiny house come true. I hope this inside scoop into financing a tiny house was helpful. If you have any questions, I don't know that I can give advice legally, but I will try to answer what I can and would love to hear what you have to say. We will catch you next time.